I believe it's time to clarify the difference, the subtle differences between what are commonly called ghosts, devils, or demons, and the devil. Actually, ghosts is a very broad category, including many, many different kinds of spirits, from nature spirits, some of which are not at all negative, but can be tricksters and like to mislead human beings for their own amusement, on through disembodied human spirits, which for one reason or another have chosen not to move on. Now, let me correct that. There are some that are still here because they are confused. They may have died in a state of mind in which they do not realize why they are dead. Those are pretty rare, but they do exist. But most disembodied spirits are people who, for one reason or another, are afraid to move on because they fear what may be in wait for them. People who fear going to hell, or even fear facing already deceased family members for deeds they have done, would fall into this category. There are also those who have been addicts of some kind, who are addicted to various substances and stay here so that they can go to a bar or a drug house and wait until the person, the user, becomes so inebriated, so high, that they are no longer in control of their body. And then they jump in to enjoy what they can of the ride of the substance which they formerly lived for. But let's take a moment and talk about what are also called demons, or common devils. These are definitely spirits of the lower realm. They are not tremendously powerful, but they are evil. And they will not usually be able to influence us unless we open ourselves up to them. There are many, many things that can cause that, common kinds of foolish occult activities like playing with a Ouija board or attempting to channel whatever might happen to be in the room or location. Those very foolish activities do sometimes allow negative entities, which are not particularly powerful, to take hold. If you've seen movies like The Exorcist or the hundreds of other similar movies, you see children perhaps beginning to play with a Ouija board, and at first it's all very light and playful. Mr. Howdy, I think the one was called, in the kind of a clown-like character in The Exorcist. And gradually, as people invest emotionally in that relationship with that entity, it gains strength, it draws strength from those people, those children, those who do not realize what they're up against, from a whole family at times. And then that power becomes greater and greater until actually things happen which are very frightening and very dangerous. But the last type I want to talk about is very rare, and that is the devil himself. Now, I had one encounter with this entity. And that was in my family's church when it was burned to the ground by drunken miners, possessed by these devils. At the guidance of who I believed to be Satan himself. Whereas when I went into the burned out hulk of that church, and in the balcony I saw that entity up there. And I will not go into a specific description of his countenance. But if you can imagine something which bears only the vaguest, only the slightest resemblance to a human being, but is absolutely vicious, terrifying, and cruel beyond all measure, you might imagine that face. And that, my friend, is a being you never want to see.